Hello, everybody. Welcome into this debut episode of Unwritten, the Journal's weekly chat show. I am your co-host, Colin McGuire, along with Jess. Wilt, is that how you say your last name?
Yes.
I never have asked you that, so it's good to know. And I'm going to throw it to you to kind of explain who our very special first guest in the history of this show is. Go ahead, Jess.
Well, our first guest, we have the honor of interviewing Mr. Don Dellinger, well known all around the county for all the jobs that you've done. He is recently retired from Berkeley County Schools as the deputy superintendent, but he's worn a billion hats. Would that be fair to say within the district?
I've had several positions, yes.
And I mean, to start, I was at the retirement ceremony. It was so emotional watching Elaine share everything, talking about 43 and a half years service to the community, and one you grew up in. What's it been like on this journey from student to teacher to athletic director?
Well, and and I think it's the same thing I said that night. And as you reflect back upon the career, and I did, I had the opportunity to not actually have a job. I had an opportunity to go and work with people for 43 and a half years that I truly enjoyed being with. And it is all about the people and relationships that you've been able to meet. I started off at Marlowe Elementary School, left Marlowe Elementary and went to North Junior High School at that time. And when I left Marlowe, the students who left Marlowe at that time, Marlowe and Bennington, went to North and then on to Martinsburg. But after me, everybody that left North and left Marlowe and Bennington had to go to Hedgesville. And I had a sister who was 2 years younger, and she was already at Hedgesville. And it was sort of a family decision that was easier on my parents that we both were in the same high school. And at one point in time, I was going to end up a Bulldog, but I made the decision to go to Hedgesville, and it was a great decision, and had wonderful teachers and made wonderful friends at Hedgesville, and graduated in 1974. And in December of 77, finished my student teaching on December the 9th, and on December 12th, I was back teaching at Hedgesville High School. And I stayed in Berkeley County since then, and loved teaching math. Had the opportunity to coach during that time several sports, and then in 1989 became the assistant principal athletic director, and served in that role until the fall of '99. I became the principal at Hedgesville High School, and my last graduating class was the class of 2011. And the fall 2011, I became deputy superintendent and was deputy superintendent until June 30th. And now my next position is retirement, and I'm just trying to work my way through that and find out what it's like.
Now, I feel like retirement hasn't been retirement for you yet, because you were busy with athletic director stuff and all kinds of stuff.
Well, and I will say this, I think my favorite job was being the athletic director. And the reason is that the number of people that you were able to communicate with, I was still assistant principals, but so still was able to communicate with administrative staff and teachers. But got a lot of students participated in sports and other activities at that time, and was able to be involved with them, and also met a lot of wonderful people across this state, and joined the Athletic Directors Association in the state, and still remained actively involved with them, and also with the National Federation of High Schools and the NIAAA. So that's a passion of mine, and actually was working a little bit on that some this morning for a meeting coming up.
Colin, I'll throw it over to you.
Well, you talking about your history within the area and staying close, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the course of your career, just in the school district itself?
Well, of course, the obvious answer to that is growth. It's amazing the growth that we've seen in Berkeley County. I don't think people fully realize how different we are that sets us aside from other parts of the state with the growth. And you know, as I've said all along, sometimes there are challenges with growth, but growth is not bad. Whereas I know I had friends in other parts of the states that were administrators. They were going up and telling friends of theirs that they had taught with for 10, 12 years that they were being riffed from their positions because of the declining enrollment. And here it was just the opposite. We're struggling to, we're hustling to find teachers because of the growth. So growth is a positive thing. I think that with that growth, we've seen a diversity come into our community, which has been a big advantage, and I think has helped us grow as a community. So growth certainly is number one. When I started as principal, again, that was the fall of 1999, we were just under 1,100 students. We were about 1,070 students. When I left, we were over 1,700 students. And that was the summer of 2011. So that's pretty strong growth over that period of time. The other thing, the big thing I think, and that really sets us aside from a lot of districts, is we've been able to create a lot of opportunities for students. And we've seen things grow, and it's academically, athletically, all the activities we've been able to provide for students, post-secondary opportunities that we have. And one of the things that I've been involved with and in working with Blue Ridge has been the Jumpstart program we have at Blue Ridge, where our students were able to go to Blue Ridge as seniors and come out at the end of their senior year with about half of their associate's degree done. And one of the things I'm going to hopefully continue with is that not this upcoming year, but the following year, we're hoping to have a pilot with 3 or 4 programs at Blue Ridge where the students can actually start their junior year, go to summer school in between their junior and senior year, continue their senior year, and when they graduate, not only graduate with a high school diploma, but also an associate's degree. And I think that's, again, those are just great opportunities for students, and those are the things that we should have been doing. And again, I think sets Berkeley County and our community apart because we've worked together to provide those opportunities.
It doesn't sound like you've actually stopped. It sounds the way you talk. You're even saying, you're looking forward to certain things coming up. Do you think that there'll be a point where you put everything down and walk away?
Well, right now, that's not something that I've completely thought about, where I would not be involved with something. I think I will always be involved in some way. I've, especially in the Hedgesville district and Marlowe and schools, I've told them, expect to see me on a regular basis. I'll come in and volunteer and help out, and just to stay involved with things. Well,
then and I'll ask you this, and then Jess, you're up after that. But I am interested in wondering why you did retire then. If you wanted to stick around, what was the driving factor from saying you were done?
Well, I didn't say I wanted to stick around. I think. Again, I think it was time. I think when it's time to retire. I think a lot of times getting new blood in is a positive thing. Tana Burkhart is going to follow me, and Tana will do a great job. She has a passion for education, and certainly I'll be working with her some as she gets accustomed. But she'll do a wonderful job. Has great ideas to serve. So again. I think the fact that now, instead of getting out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, not getting out of the bed at 7:30 is a little bit special right now.
Kind of touching on, Tana taking over the position, you're talking about those relationships and what that's been like over these past 4 decades. And you talking about going back immediately. You sound like Bubby Whittington. He, the man retires and goes right back.
Well, just a quick story, a couple stories on Bubby. Bubby retired from wrestling twice. Yeah. So the first time he retired from wrestling, we got him a set of golf clubs, and he came back. Second time he retired from wrestling, we got him a golf bag. I think once he got his golf clubs and golf bags, then he was good to go, and he's still coaching wrestling.
I always told him he couldn't retire until I left sports, so you might lose him now. But those relationships you were talking about, Tana, who's so wonderful. And in particular, in your time as an administrator, I was thinking Mr. Comer, who's now moving up and everything. What's it been like seeing the people you've worked with and connected with grow with the district?
Well, one of the things that I feel very, very fortunate about is that, in building those relationships, they were very, very strong individuals. And one of the things that when I was the athletic director, assistant principal, we had some success. We really started building on some successes at Hedgesville at that time, not just in particular sports. We had success in some sports, but our entire sports program really picked up. And the reason I think that happened is because of the individuals that were involved. We had quality coaches, excellent students, and great parent and community support during that time. I can remember my daughter graduated from Hedgesville a little bit later in 2004. So she was a little bit outside of my term as athletic director, although she was sort of my assistant athletic director when we did that. But we, unfortunately, we were out of viewing, and a lot of those athletes that were there in the 90s came up and they were at the viewing. And they're doctors and they're teachers and they're lawyers and they're engineers and very successful businessmen and women. And as we were walking out, she said, "Dad," she said, "no wonder you all were so successful back then. Look at everybody that was part of that." And that's true. You look at Bub, and everybody looks at Bubby and sees him as the wrestling coach and this happy-go-lucky, joking type guy. When I became the athletic director, assistant principal, I had to sit in on his class to observe him. That was one of my responsibilities. And he was an outstanding teacher. Kids loved him. He was a great teacher in the classroom. He taught PE, did strength and conditioning, did those, but he's also a health teacher. And he was engaging in the classroom, and not a lot of students like health. I can remember telling students, freshmen all the time, they would fail health their first semester, and I'd tell them, you have to pass this class to graduate. Well, yeah. I said, "Do you think it's going to be any better the second time you sit down than the first, just because you don't like it?" And but Bubby's class is a little bit different. They love being in that class. He was a great teacher and a great coach and a great person. You mentioned Dan Comer. Dan came to Hedgesville out of college, and he was our athletic trainer, taught at the middle school, and Dan is probably one of the most competitive people that I've ever been around in my whole life. And I'm competitive. I'm really competitive. But Dan is super competitive also. So he sort of fit right into to our program. And whether it was his track team or whether it was football or basketball, whatever he was coaching at the time, Dan was super competitive also. And but again, Dan was a good coach because he was a good teacher. Mm-hmm. And I think as you look at coaches, most of your coaches are really, really good classroom teachers also. And it sort of goes hand in hand, the two. But when we opened up Spring Mills High School, and we were looking for an athletic director for Spring Mills High School, and was talking with Mr. Arvon at the time, and we were talking about possibilities that are out there. And one of the people we looked at right off the start was Dan. And because of all the skills that he would bring to that position, and he did a wonderful job starting the program, athletic program at Spring Mills, and now he's on to working in the board office. Actually, I wish I had another year because I'd like to be in there with him.
Well, you could have another year. You could go back if you want.
Well,
Mr. Murphy or Dr. Murphy would take you back.
Somebody's already filled my position, so I'm good. I'll just have to meet up with Dan and Ron for lunches a couple times a week.
Do you have any regrets at all over your career with anything that you did?
As I look back, there are no regrets. There were certainly things that I would have done different. As I look back on it, there are things that I think about that I did that I think, I probably would have done that a little bit different, but no regrets. I think you learn from your mistakes. And as long as you don't make those same mistakes more than once, then I think you're good. I know you're going to ask me what most of them are. A lot of them are being up on top of the press box calling offensive plays and making wrong calls. That's where most of them were at. But no, I think at time, some of the things that in building, trying to begin programs and maybe not going in and getting the buy-in from all the stakeholders to start those programs off. I think I could have done a better job in some cases with that. But I think sometimes some of the disappointing things is that, in other programs I did that, some not quite as well. But those are little things.
You mentioned starting their programs. I mean, you played such an integral role in the middle school cross country programs and now lacrosse, which is really taking off. We have two championship teams this year. You've got to be proud to see the athletics grow like it has.
Well, Jess, I'll tell you what I'm most proud of. When I first started off as athletic director, of course, we had football, we had co-curricular soccer.
Okay.
So boys and girls played soccer together. We had cross country, we had golf, and we had cheerleading. Boys and girls basketball in the winter, we had wrestling. And then in the spring, we had baseball, softball, track, tennis. And Susie Davis, who I taught with and coached with, Susie had an extensive background in volleyball. In fact, at the time when I became athletic director, she was officiating volleyball. And Susie and I used to sit down and talk at the lunch table and talked about the importance of starting a volleyball program. So working with Susie and the other schools, we were able to bring volleyball in to the athletic program. It wasn't very long that we went from co-curricular soccer to having a girls soccer team also, and not just a varsity, but also a JV girls soccer team. At Hedgesville, we only had varsity and JV girls basketball. We started a freshman program there. We began a swim program, and we started JV softball also. So as you look through that, we had sort of what they would call the main sports, the revenue producing sports, and football and basketball. But we also took a look. There was a need for other sports, especially for our female athletes. And as you look at it, certainly, like I said earlier, I'm very competitive and I want to win. But also, I think it's important to provide opportunities for kids, and we were able to do that. When middle school program started, Mr. Alavito was the deputy superintendent, and with my involvement through the National Federation and IAAA, I had done some work with middle school athletics and was able to sit down with Mr. Alavito and our middle school principal at the time and really start a middle school basketball program that sort of fit the needs of the students. And we've revised that over the years, and then also cross country. And Dr. Cucavella was very instrumental in working with that. And I'm going to forget the other gentleman's name, but Ryan also was a huge part of that. And again, it's all about providing opportunities for kids. And that's what was so devastating about the pandemic, I think, for students, was all those activities. And again, whether it was athletics, whether it was band, chorus, drama, clubs, kids missed out on an awful lot. And it's so nice now to see those programs coming back. And again, whether it's athletics or the fine arts or whatever, even our summer program, and having kids back and doing activities in our summer program is a really wonderful thing.
I was at Potomac yesterday, and I can tell you those kids are having a blast with summer programming, and the high schoolers working it.
The high schools working, yeah, awesome. So that's one of the best things coming. One of the things I think we have to look at is, we can talk about things that were bad about the pandemic, but let's take a look at some of the things that were positive about the pandemic, and that was one of them. We were able to involve our high school students in working with tutoring. Even we did it virtually. Ann Lasky at the board office worked with that. And we were able to do it. And then this summer, it was just a natural, they fit right in. So that has been a very positive thing about that.
Do you have, and this might be an impossible question to answer, but you having your history and working with so many students and so many teams and being successful with the athletic stuff, do you have a favorite team that you've been a part of through the years?
A team that I coached?
Yes.
Well, I will tell you, my favorite sport, of course, is football. And I coached football for a number of years. Was an assistant coach for most of it. Did have a period of time where I was a head coach for 3 years before I became the athletic director. When I became the athletic director, I set out 2 years and then came back and was an assistant again for another 8 years. So football is my favorite, but I love track. I loved running a track meet when I was the athletic director. I think when you run a good track meet, everybody, all the participants and all the fans, it's really enjoyable. I enjoy watching track meets. I love wrestling. I think the difference that you see there between those sports and football is more of the team oriented. And even though we have wrestling teams, track teams, that individual element, I think is really, really important. I think it's important for kids to get out to experience that, having a little bit of weight put on their shoulders to go out and perform. And that doesn't necessarily, for instance, in track, that doesn't necessarily mean winning the event. Could be just, hey, my best time was 10:45 in the 3200, and I got it down to 10:30, and little things like that. So if you're looking at a particular team over the years that I particularly can identify with, I think it was probably our 1993 football team.
And why?
And,
Why is that?
It was a group that came in that great kids, but I think when that group came in, around the year, because we had been in the playoffs for 2 years in 91 and 92, and I think 93 came in. I think the discussion was, well, Hedgesville is going to be down a little bit this year, and we had one of our best years, and it's because that group, they worked together, they pushed each other, and really worked hard. And in fact, we finished the regular season 9-1, won a playoff game, and got beat in the second round in a close ball game. So finished the season 10-2, and again, one of the best seasons Hedgesville ever had. Again, it was just a great group to work with. And again, that's a group that, as you look at several doctors that are in that group, several businessmen that own their own business right now. There was a Navy SEAL, actually 2 Navy SEALs that played on that team. I'm sorry, 1 Navy SEAL and 2 that graduated from the Naval Academy. So and that's just a team that sort of stands out, but there's a lot of them that you can go back and remember.
Colin, you're a sports guy. This will blow your mind. Hedgesville did not have a track until what year did we build it? It was recently, 2014?
Let's see. I think we opened it up after Spring Mills opened up. So it was 2000. I think it was 2014 or 15 was the first year for the track at Hedgesville.
They had a heck of a team. I'll tell you what, we had a great track team. Dan Comer did a great job with the track team. We practiced basically in the back parking lot of the school, and actually we said that we probably would have been undefeated with anybody, but they couldn't beat us on our home track in the back parking lot at that time. But yeah, Dan won 2 state track championships with. Now I will tell you, we didn't have a track, but we had probably the best field event facilities in the area. In fact, a lot of times when Berkeley County meet, the night before, we would do the field events out at Hedgesville and then do the running events at Martinsburg the next day.
Huh. I didn't even think that was allowed. That's interesting. Huh? Do you have a favorite track event?
I really like the 4x400.
Okay.
The last one.
The last one, the 4x400. I think it's It's a great event. Shuttle hurdles is another one.
Shuttle
And-
hurdle
and-
is fun to watch.
and not a lot of states run the shuttles any longer, but West Virginia does. You know, it's a little disappointing because you're starting to see not a lot of schools have enough hurdlers to run a shuttle hurdle team any longer. But shuttle hurdles is another great event.
I ran hurdles in high school, and I still have nightmares about that. That was tough. That technique is so hard to get down. How do you
Yeah.
even teach that?
You know, again, it takes a special somebody who's trained and a special coach to be able to do that. And you know, again, fortunately, we've had some really good coaches that have been able to work with hurdlers over the years at Hedgesville, and have had some success with hurdles. So, did you run the 300s?
I don't even, yeah, I did. And I also ran the 4x4, the relay. I was on that. That was tough too. I always felt like I was weighing the team down.
Yeah, the 300 hurdles is another great event because it is a demanding event.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to watch the Olympics?
Absolutely.
And do you have any?
I've been watching all the trials and everything leading up to the Olympics already.
Do you have a favorite Olympic event?
No, not really. Again, the track, track, watch the track, but just enjoy the competition overall.
Yeah. Jess, did you run anything?
I was not a runner. I was a softball player, but my husband, who is 6'3" and 300 pounds, ran the 4x4 one time and then quit and went back to throwing.
That's the way to go.
Actually, when I coached track, that's what I did. I worked with the weight guys and worked with the shot and the discus.
Did you or have you thought about in your life, if you did not pursue education and going into schools, was there anything out there that you would have wanted to do outside of this?
I always, when I really wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I will tell you, there was a point in my career that I told people that if I would have had to be a middle school teacher, I'd probably be an attorney right now. The middle school was a very difficult age to work with. When I did my student teaching, I did my first half at Frankfurt High School and second half at Kaiser Middle, and worked with great kids and a great supervised teacher at Kaiser Middle. But it was very difficult, and I realized real quickly it wasn't the kids, it was me. I wasn't mature enough to handle them yet. I hadn't gotten to that point where I could do it. So, one of the things I looked into was law. I was in a program at WVU that if you had a certain score on your LCATs, and then also on your had a certain grade point average that they had to accept you to law school. So I had done that, and I had considered that. But to be quite frank, when the job team opened at Hedgesville, I was ready to go into teaching at that point in time. And, so left the idea of becoming an attorney in the past, and have enjoyed every minute of what I've been doing.
It was coming home for you.
It was coming home, yeah. The way I found out about it, I was doing my student teaching. I was also helping coach football at Frankfurt. I was helping with their freshman team, and we were out scouting on Friday night, and ran into Bill Fiery, who had been my football coach. He and another assistant coach at Hedgesville, Mike Spangler, they were scouting for Hedgesville, and said, "Hey, did you know that there's a teaching position in math open at Hedgesville?" I said, "No." It was actually my teacher, who had, her husband was a minister, and he was being moved to the Richmond area. And so I said no, and I had in our student teaching class, we were doing resumes. This is back when you had to use a typewriter and carbon copy everything. And I had several copies of my resume, and I took one down to the principal, Mr. Kilmer, who had been my principal, and dropped it off to him. And that weekend, and fortunately, a few months later, I'm teaching at Hedgesville.
Well, I know you're at the beach right now. So what's the plans for retirement and enjoying
Well,
summer?
again, I'm not at the beach. That's that's just a picture, and that's just a picture in the background. Uh, you know, again, what my plans are is that I was able to take a trip to Jamaica and came back from it. And actually, next week I'm going to be going down to the beach for several weeks to be with family. And, looking forward to that. And once I get back from the beach, then yeah, have to really start to settle in what retirement's going to be. For me, it's going to have to be a routine. I'm going to have, otherwise I'll sit around do nothing, and I can't do that. So I'll get into a routine, starting to do a little bit now. I get up in the morning and do a short walk, do some stretching, and right now still trying to settle down things for retirement, like insurances and stuff like that. But I'll have a routine, and again, I'm sure I'll be seen in schools and various places.
Are you nervous about that? Are you nervous about when the school year starts and you're not there? Are you worried about how that might affect you?
Colin, I was on the one more year plan for 6, so yeah, I am. I am a little bit nervous. I can remember, again, what it was like 5 or 6 Christmases ago. I was down at Myrtle Beach, and if you would have asked me before I went down, I would have told you that I was 90% sure that was going to be my last year, and that when I got back, I was going to turn in my retirement paperwork. And I got down there, and I thought, there's only so much golf I can play. I don't think I can do this. And that has sort of been that was sort of the trend there for the last 5 years, and then again this year was the year that. So yeah, I'm definitely nervous, but yeah, I will have a lot of great friends, and I have opportunities, so we'll take advantage of it.
Okay. I have a couple kind of fun things to ask you to wrap things up, but before we get there, I want to make sure Jess doesn't have anything. I'm sure there are so many more questions you have. So
many, but I don't want to take up all his time. So go ahead with the
you have to remember, I can remember when Jess played softball. So
well, so that's what I was going to start with.
And covering those games, being an administrator covering those games.
What was Jess like as a softball player?
You have to understand, during that time, Hedgesville had a pretty decent softball team, and so did the Jefferson County. And those were very highly competitive games at that point in time. So good athletes on both sides.
Okay. Jess, did you win any championships, any titles?
We were close, but no. Well, I mean, little titles, but never the big ones.
Yeah. Mussman had a great team during that time also.
Oh.
My now sister-in-law played for the Jefferson team that did all the good stuff.
There.
So Don, with everybody, you are our first guest, and Jess has told me for weeks and weeks and weeks how beloved you are in the community and how amazing of a person you are. Everybody knows you from what I understand, and everybody likes you from what I understand. What's one thing that nobody knows about you?
One thing that nobody knows about me. Not so much here lately, but at one point in my life, I was trying to think what the appropriate word is. I got into golf course design.
Oh,
Cool.
Read a lot of books about it, read a lot of articles about it, was into design. Have a great book that I read probably about every 3 years now. It's called Driving the Green. It's about the design and construction of this golf course in Florida. And yeah, had a real interest in golf course design.
That's so cool.
Yeah, is that something you might pursue?
But no, but as my game has deteriorated, so has my emphasis on looking at golf course design. Now I'm just hoping to bogey out.
What's your handicap?
My swing.
Oh.
I really have not been to the point to where I've played competitive enough
Okay.
that I have an established handicap right now.
Okay.
I'm a bogey. I'm definitely a bogey golfer at this point in my life.
Okay. That's better than me. That's way better. I had to give up golf a long time ago because it's one of the many things I'll never be good at. And it's so frustrating. Jess, have you golfed?
I putt frequently with my little cousins, and I'm miserable at it.
The worst part is I have a brother who's a really, really good golfer, and there was a point in time where in our lives where maybe 1 hour every 5 to 7 times I could beat him. Now it's not even close.
Do you like to watch golf? I think the British Open.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I particularly enjoy watching the Masters and the U.S. Open and British Open. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be watching this weekend.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? And I'm a moviegoer. That was another thing was tough about the pandemic, was not being able to go and watch movies. But I am a movie goer. Godfather is one of my favorites.
Okay.
McClintock
Oh, I love that movie.
is another one. And loved Mel Brooks movies.
Oh, okay.
Young Frankenstein, Blazing
Yeah.
Saddles. Yeah.
Did you like The Godfather 3?
I liked The Godfather 3. Not as good as The Godfather 1. And the best thing about it is I had read the book before I saw the movie. So yeah, it was funny just to it was interesting to look at the connections between the two.
What is one sport, since you're a sports guy and you kind of lived your life through scholastic sports, student athletes, what's one sport you really don't like?
That I really don't like. Golly, I'm the type of guy who'll sit down and probably watch just about anything. So not sure that I have one that I really don't like. Enjoy
Even
I'll enjoy. I enjoy. Well, and you talk about cricket. When I was in Jamaica, I watched cricket in Jamaica, so on TV over there. So
I just don't understand cricket. I don't know how you score. I don't know how you win.
I just watch it. Sometimes you just watch it for the enjoyment.
Yeah, that's fair. Jess, do you have any fun questions?
I'll ask you what I asked our guest on our previous series. Who's your favorite superhero, Mr. Dellinger?
My favorite superhero. Guardian of the Galaxy is my favorite because of the music in it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge, So probably the Guardians of the Galaxy and that group.
I don't blame you. They're in my top Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Well, you just talked about music. What's your favorite concert you've ever been to?
It's funny. I just talked about that this past weekend, and I went and saw. I've had the opportunity when I was at WVU. WVU had some great concerts they brought into the Coliseum, and I've been able to go to some great concerts. But Earth, Wind and Fire, when they were touring with Chicago.
Wow.
And I got to see them. That was an amazing concert. And they both performed individually, and their individual performance was great. But they did a set together where they played songs together. And, the singers from Earth, Wind and Fire would sing Chicago songs, and although they were playing together, and then vice versa. It was a great concert.
Wow. That sounds great. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Where is your favorite place to eat in Martinsburg?
In Martinsburg.
Or Berkeley County. Let's not limit to Martinsburg.
Okay, all right.
or in Berkeley County. My favorite place to eat. Well, it's got to be Buffalo Wild Wings. Has to be. I mean, I say that, and Fridays at Buffalo Wild Wings are great. And Ron Stevens, my real good buddy, that's where we could be found on Fridays for lunch. Plus probably a couple other times during the week. But we used to go in, we used to have football Fridays. And I'll probably still continue. That's probably something I'll probably continue in the fall. We used to do football Fridays in the Buffalo Wild Wings. And we would print off the West Virginia AAA high school games of the week, and we would make our selections, and we had our own show, and we would make our selections and see how we did.
Maybe you'll have to be one of the pigskin prognosticators, because I am not good at this anymore. They.
Wow. I have one more. Jess, do you have any before I get to my last one?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. Is there a goal that you have in retirement that you want to accomplish? Is there something you're looking forward to next?
Yeah, I think my goal is again, it involves people, and I have a daughter who lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and got to place in Myrtle Beach, and so I'll have more time to spend with her and spend more time in Myrtle Beach. But I have such, I still have family here, and I have such great friends here. I still want to maintain in touch with them. Still, still get out. Still the Blue Ridge group. Still want to help with that program some, and as much as I can. So again, try to stay involved and be not only be involved, but also try to be productive and helpful in this community. This community has given so much to me over the years, as a student, as a teacher, administrator, coach, whatever. And, it means a lot to me. And, when I look back on it, I owe so much to not only Berkeley County schools, but also this entire community that supports education and what we're doing in education so much that, want to stay involved and be able to be a good community member.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you all. I certainly appreciate it. And it's been fun. And again, another good way to start my retirement off with.
And you made history, sir. You made history being our first ever guest.
Very first one. So, yep.
So, if you're competitive, this will be the best trivia question they'll ask at Buffalo Wild Wings in 10 years. So
I got it.
You got it.
I got it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Jess.
And we'll see you later.
Bye.
See you.